Hey, Brian here from RVwithtito.com. How's it going? Hey, this channel is all about DIY projects for your RV. So if you want to learn how to do your own upgrades and repairs that'll save you money, build your skills, and help you get the most out of your RV, then start by subscribing to this channel. Now, in the 12 plus years that I've been making upgrades to our Class C motorhome, I've really done a lot to customize the interior, exterior, and some of the components here to really make it fit our specific needs. Now, I've wanted to share this with you because there are some projects that have really had a huge impact on the overall quality of our RV life, and I've narrowed it down to 7 that I want to share with you in this video. Now I'm going to go ahead and start with 7 and work my way back up to number 1. And I think our top project, the number 1, it may surprise you. Now I hope this gives you some ideas of what's possible and things that you can do to improve your RV. Now let's go ahead and get started. Now, if any of the upgrades that I'm going to show you are of interest to you, that's something that you might want to take on for your own RV, then I'm going to go ahead and link to some detailed videos that I've put together in the past, sometimes multiple videos on some of these topics that'll walk you through my thought process, the materials that I used, and just completing the overall project. So don't worry about the fact that there may be some project detail missing from this video. There's a lot of resources that I'm going to link to that'll definitely help you out if you want to make some of these upgrades on your own. So let's go ahead and get started with number 7. Well, this is what we call the business end of the RV, and it's one of the least glamorous things about owning an RV, that we store our own waste and in these tanks, but you know, that means that we have to dump it periodically, and somebody's got that task, and it's usually me. And part of that is that you have to store a sewer hose like this, and sometimes more than one. And you also have these attachments, you know, to be able to connect to different types of sewer inlets. In this compartment, there isn't a whole lot of extra space, so coiling up a sometimes wet and maybe even stinky hose, you know, we call this a stinky slinky sometimes. It causes a problem because where do you put it? I don't want to mount it to my bumper or put it in my bumper or, you know, do a lot of those things. So I came up with a different solution, and what I can do now is actually make this hose disappear into the side of my sewer compartment here, and you don't even see it. Check it out. And I even have room to store the attachment. Again, disappearing into the side here, and it's gone. Where'd it go? I can also put an extra hose stored in this secret place as well. Let me show you where that is. Okay, under the RV, mounted to the back of that compartment, is this vinyl fence post that I've painted black, and I've just put a little L bracket here and made a hole so that goes inside the compartment. So this is where the primary sewer hose is stored. And like I said, it's got enough room in there to actually store the connectors as well. And next to it, this isn't connected to the compartment, but I can access it from the back, and this is where I store my secondary or, you know, extension sewer hose as well. So again, totally out of view. You don't even see it and don't even know it's there. Now to get to the second hose, I can just go underneath here behind the bumper, and you can see the two tubes here, and the secondary one is here. I just remove this here that's holding the cap on and take the hose out. One of the things that really started to become clearer the longer we owned our RV was that this space here that was right inside our door, part of our living space, was just not very well utilized. We used to have a little jackknife couch here, which wasn't comfortable at all, and it wasn't long enough for a full-size person to even sleep in. So recently we decided what we really needed and what we've always wanted in this space was a desk, and we wanted a place to use as a table, and we also wanted to relocate our TV, which was up there, which is in a really poor location for actually watching TV. So we wanted to locate it here more centrally to kind of simulate a more of a living room kind of feel in here. So we removed the couch and came up with this design for this kind of combination desk, bar, TV stand, and a table that we can sit at and eat, and a shoe rack on the side. And this was a fairly recent addition that was part of a bigger remodel project, but it really has proven to be an amazing piece of furniture that really utilizes this space well. And I've even made some changes here. I've added a sound bar underneath here. The TV comes right out of the middle of the counter here. But for the most part, we sit here and eat, and I can look out the window, and we can have a glass of wine and enjoy the view right from this spot. And it also frees up a lot of extra space here in this room. But yeah, this piece of new piece of furniture here has really been a game changer here in the RV, and it makes it much more comfortable. What do you think of this floor? Pretty nice, huh? Well, it hasn't always been like this. In fact, this part of the RV was carpet. And this part of the RV was linoleum. So we had carpet, linoleum, and then in the bathroom was also linoleum. We really wanted to change it to something consistent throughout. So putting in a new floor in the RV was definitely a huge improvement over what it was before. It looked really, really good. In fact, we wish we would have done this years ago. It really updated the entire space and gave it a much more elegant look to the RV. And we really, really love it. Now, one of the things that can really make a difference in your RV is having adequate places to plug in your electronics, your phones, anything else. Our lives just run off of electricity these days. And one thing that we hate is actually wires. So if you have to run a long wire somewhere, it really becomes a pain in the butt where you have wires hanging all over the place. So having convenient places to plug things in, like here where we sit, where you sleep, where you work, and where you drive or ride, can really make a big difference. RV manufacturers often put AC outlets in inconvenient locations that are convenient for them, like underneath this cabinet here. There's another one under that other cabinet over there, instead of where we might want it. Which is, in our case, here. Don't have any cords hanging, and I can plug stuff in on the floor without a cord hanging from the cabinet. Oh yeah. Well, this one should be pretty self-explanatory. If there was ever something that you really needed but you just didn't know it, this is it. Some sort of recliner or reclining couch of some sort in the RV is one way that you can really make it feel like home and get super comfortable. Everywhere we would go in the RV for over a decade, we'd be looking for a comfortable place to sit, to really be able to stretch out and relax, whether we're watching TV or playing games or whatever. You always want to kind of get comfortable, but there was really no place like that. We had that uncomfortable couch over there, and we had a dinette in this location here. So The dinette's gone. It's replaced with these recpro automated, fully automated recliners. You know, it's really, really cool to have these. And they've really made a big difference here in the RV, and we just love hanging out here in these recliners. It's totally been a game changer. Now, if you want to check these out, these are from RecPro, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to find something that might fit your RV. And I even have a way for you to save a few bucks if you're interested. But these have been great for us, and definitely has improved our quality of life here in the RV. Right across from the TV, by the way, which is just like our living room. Look at that. Almost flat. I can go to sleep. Now this next one is a really big one because there are a lot of different upgrades that we've had to make this happen. And that is to allow us to be completely off the grid when it comes to electricity. Now, one of the great things that we love about RVing is to be totally self-sufficient and being able to travel and be wherever we want to be without having to be plugged in. So, you know, we've added some pretty major components to our RV to make that happen, like you know, a very large battery bank, you know, that has an inverter attached to it, so we can provide AC power to the RV as well as DC power. And we have a monitoring system to be able to monitor what that state of charge is at any given time, as well as being able to monitor how much energy is coming in from our solar charging system to see where we're at and how much energy we're bringing in from the sun. And all of that comes together in this whole system that allows us to be completely off the grid. And it's completely changed the way that we use our RV today versus how we used it when we first got it, or for the first, you know, 5 or 6 years when we would travel from RV park to RV park. Well, there certainly is a lot to learn in order to put together an off-grid system like this. For those of you who are new and want to do something similar, I've put together some free information that you can download, and I'll put a link to that in the description if you want to check that out. And it answers a lot of the common questions you might have. But it's certainly been a game changer for us. It's opened up a whole new way of RVing that we've always wanted to experience. Okay, here we are at number 1. What do you think it is? Well, if you guessed suspension upgrade, you'd be right. So when we first got the RV, this is a 32-foot Class C, which is a pretty good size Class C, kind of teetering on the Class C size. And this thing was kind of a bear to drive because with the stock suspension, stock shock absorbers, it bounced around a lot. It was really impacted by those trucks that would go by. You know, you'd be white knuckling it, you know, to keep the RV from jumping into another lane even. And, you know, when the wind would hit it from the front or the side or whatever, you know, you'd really be holding on to keep this thing steady. The manufacturers, they put this giant house on this stock chassis. It's just not designed to support that kind of top-heavy house on top of this chassis. So what I've done was to replace the stock anti-sway bar in the front with an upgraded one from Hellwig, and I also replaced the rear anti-sway bar with a Hellwig sway bar, and I was able to do that particular project myself. And I also had new Bilstein shock absorbers put on the front and on the back to replace the stock shock absorbers. Now, after making those suspension upgrades, the front and rear anti-sway bar, which I actually did myself, and I actually had a shop do the shock absorbers, and I also had them do an alignment at the same time. After doing all that, the experience behind the wheel here driving was dramatically different. So this is the first time driving the RV with anti-sway bars installed and new shock absorbers. I have to say, this is a completely different ride. It actually felt like I was driving kind of a large SUV as compared to before, where I was white knuckling it quite a bit of the time, especially when a truck would go by or, you know, the wind would kick up. In fact, now when I drive down the highway and there's a bit of wind, I don't notice it as much. In fact, sometimes I hardly notice it at all until I see the trees on the side of the highway kind of bending over a little bit. I'm like, oh, that explains why it just feels a little bit off, because it's pretty windy. So it's been a huge upgrade for me. The reason is this is probably my top upgrade is because it's improved the safety and drivability of the RV. And when I first got it, I wasn't sure if this is just what driving an RV was like, but now it's completely different, and I really enjoy driving it now, and I feel safe, you know, getting us from point A to point B, because at the end of the day, it's a vehicle, and you know, and it needs to be safe and drivable. So, you know, that was it. Oh, one last thing, that there was a kind of an unexpected consequence of the suspension upgrade, and that was that while even parked, the RV was a lot more stable. Where before, you know, the kids or anybody in the front of the RV be moving around, you know, the back of the RV would be bouncing all over the place. But now, you know, there's no need for any kind of stabilizers or anything like that, because the anti-sway bars and the shocks really kind of firm up the suspension. So even while parked, you know, at a campsite, you know, the RV doesn't move that much when people move around inside. So that was a really unexpected benefit to this upgrade as well. Well, I hope you've picked up something here that you could definitely apply to your own RV, and I would love to hear about any projects or upgrades you've made that have really had a significant impact on your RV quality of life. Go ahead and share it with the community here on this channel in the comments, and I'd love to hear about it. And for those of you who are subscribed, I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.